I wondered where our giant spider had gone. Well, welcome back to the cottage farmstead. As we left you off with last time, we're here to harvest our rainbow popcorn. We've been growing this rainbow popcorn blend for about 3 years now, I think. Yeah, three or 4 years.
Come on there.
And we've been mixing different genetics. We incorporated some Dakota Black last year. This year we added some Pennsylvania Dutch. And so we just like mixing all the different colors, flavors, and just seeing if we can grow the best popcorn for our area year after year. The last 2 years we've had some issues with some type of weevil that gets into the already dried corn and just eats it away over time, lays eggs in it, they hatch. And so last year we lost a third to almost half of our popcorn because of these weevils. Part of the problem is we weren't able to shell it fast enough. We weren't able to shake them out. We tried shaking the crates with them and we just kept getting more and more. We learned over the winter that you can freeze popcorn and thaw it without getting too much moisture into it, and that's one way that you can kill some of these weevils that get in there and some of their eggs. So we're going to be doing that this year. So we're going to try and speed up our timeline, get the corn harvested in a timely fashion before there's too many weevils, and then hopefully later this week get it all shelled. So as you can see, we have a nice tall stand of popcorn here, but we also lost, I don't know, maybe about a little less than a quarter of our crop due to some high winds that we had after a couple of hurricane remnants passed over, or tropical storm remnants passed over. So you can see we lost some of the corn. We left it there because some of it did produce a few ears. They're just going to be smaller and more stunted, but we are still very excited to see what the rest of the crop is producing.
So some of the things you look for when you're wondering if it is ready to harvest is a completely dry husk. You want to see the silk just falls away nicely. There's no green component to that. And it also falls away naturally from the stem itself. What you can do also is just strip it back. If you feel that there is no more green kernels, everything is nicely hardened, that also shows you that it's ready to harvest. So this one here, you can't scratch it at all. So that is all ready to go. Look at that. Here are those weevils.
Let's see if I can get it to focus on it.
And they fly.
I didn't really know. That's a different weevil. That's a different bug.
It's a different type.
Well, we better harvest these, dry them off, and freeze them fast because we lost a lot last year to those bugs. Spider. Oh! I wondered where our giant spider had gone. Look at that spider! So ugly! But they're so good for the garden. But yeah, I just about stuck my hand in its web, so I will move out of its way and let it do its thing without me. That we're looking for as we're harvesting is what we want to save for our seed corn next year. I'm personally partial to the red colors, and I know Nathan likes some that have a more marbled color to them. We found one that was beautiful last time we were here that was yellow with some kind of red marbling in it. We do select for ear size as well. Last year we had a lot of small ears, so it was a little bit trickier, but we got some seed corn from my dad and he had a lot of really nice long ears. So we're gonna make sure we select from our long ears this year. Also, this one came from a stalk that had 2 ears. Typically when there's 2 ears, they're both smaller. 2 small ears rather than one large one. This one had a large ear and had a second one along with it. So we're gonna see if we can breed in 2 large ears over time by selecting the characteristics we want. So as you can see, we have quite a few stalks here on the ground that we've pulled up. We have a few more that we're leaving standing that have a few green ears left on them. But rather than just throwing these directly into the compost, we actually sell these at the farmer's market in the fall. So we're gonna tie them up into shucks and leave them in our garage to dry. And they are very popular in October to sell as fall decorations at the farmer's market. So it's another way to make a little cash to help support our gardening habit and is using a waste product that otherwise would have ended up in the compost pile.
One of the challenging things with both of us working full-time is time management. And that is where we're very careful to set things up to try to be efficient. Efficiency isn't always the key, but if we can do that and have it set up where we can enjoy the time, it makes it very much worthwhile. So here you can see we have the corn that is unshucked. Down to the right, we have the bin where the shucks will go. This is for the compost pile. I happen to be left-handed, so I'll be here, and it works very efficiently for me to toss it there. To our right, or your left, we have this bin here, which is where we will place the cobs for popcorn. Now there will be certain ears of which we will want to select specifically for saving seed for next year. We have a separate crate furthest away because that will be the lowest quantity of ears, and we will have this crate here to simply keep those separate. Sometimes it's just a little bit of planning at the front that can save you time and make the whole task a lot more enjoyable.
So like I mentioned earlier, we really wanted to keep this particular ear of corn, so I set it aside when I was harvesting because it was on a stalk that had 2 ears and it still produced a large size ear, which is uncommon, so we want that. I also personally love red corn, so we're going to set that aside. But some of the other things that we're looking for is this year is the first year we started having corn cobs with this, the shucks having this really pretty red color. Let's just see if I can find another one. There's a few of them that are almost solid red on them. So we're going to start pulling ones that have more red in their shuck because we just think it's pretty, and the ones with this red in the shuck also have red stalks, and it's just really pretty when it's growing. So that's one of the things we're going to be looking for. The other thing is we're going to be looking for ones that have less bugs in them because we want some bug resistance because we do have a lot of bugs here in the state of South Carolina. And those we're going to be setting aside for the next year. Corn actually needs to cross-pollinate every year. Otherwise, it'll start getting inbred, I think it's called inbred depression, where you start getting smaller and smaller ear sizes. They're not as healthy, and they just have a lot of issues. So corn actually likes to be cross-pollinated, so that's why we mix in different varieties periodically. We save seeds from different years and mix different generations together just to make sure that we have a lot of genetic diversity. As you can see with this one, it's a tiny little ear. And even though it has the red trait that we like in the husk, we are not going to keep this one, even if it does have a few kernels on it. But see, we're not going to keep a cob that's this small for seed corn. It would just be useless to breed in such short cobs. But like this one that's much longer, has the red color I like, and also some of that Dakota in it. Ooh, that's pretty how it intermixes those. It's a nice long cob. It has some of the colors I like, so we're going to put that one aside for seed corn.
So here we can see that we definitely harvested this well before any of the kernels developed. The silk is still white. It must have just gotten picked off when we were pulling the stalks off. So this is what happens, well, when you harvest way too early.
And I actually have an example of what happens if you don't harvest soon enough. There it is. And it dries and then gets wet again. I don't know if you can see these little green sprouts. Let me see if I can hold it up here. These little green sprouts. That seed is already sprouted, so it would not be any good for popcorn on here. Also on this one, you can see at the top, this has some silkworm damage. The worm is not in here anymore, but you can see its little path that it had right here, and it'll be rotten on that top part of it. So thankfully this year we've had less silkworm damage, which is nice to see. But that is another trait, you know, we want to pick ears that have less silkworm damage to pass on those traits on to the next generation. Alright, so we have our two bins. We have our bins of popcorn that we're going to be eating. And then we have our bin that we're going to be selecting kernels for planting again next year. You can see we had a lot more reds this year that did better with the long ears. They dried sooner than the other ones. We did keep some of these shorter ones. These were the longest of the Pennsylvania Dutch butter ones that we had. This one had a little bit of longer tip on it. I ripped off a little bit of it that just wasn't fertilized. So you can see we have in here some beautiful autumn colors in here. Some of the Dakota Black mixed into that one. I mentioned the Pennsylvania Dutch, but this also has some of the Glassy Gem mixed into it, some of these pearl colors. And then we grew a hybrid variety and didn't realize it one year, but a robust, and this has definitely got the robust genetics in it. It's got nice big long yellow cob. We also have in here a couple that we've left the husk on so that we can see that it has that pretty red color that we like. So we've got our selection for picking beautiful kernels for next year. Well, I hope you enjoyed discovering all the different colors of popcorn that we had growing this year as much as we did harvesting them. Stay tuned and hit subscribe, because next time we're going to be pulling out my great-grandfather's antique corn sheller and shelling all of this popcorn. Catch you next time.